So it's going to be a short presentation this morning, and then that gives you a bit of time to mooch around before the actual AGM. I know there's always a lot to do and look at around the AGM, so I won't keep you for too long. I'm also loath to do presentations, so I'll try and keep it short. So we'll just do a brief introduction to speed. I think most of you probably know. We exit from 13,000 feet, accelerate throughout the dive, and the speed is measured between 8,800 feet and 5,500 feet, and the result for the jump is the average speed between those, the entry and exit gate. We're measured using two Larsen and Bruscard ProTracks, and we use a specific software by Intervision called Speedware that's available for free for the competition. So just to give you an idea of what a speed jump looks like, is that cutting out a bit? Can you hear her? What? So it's difficult to jump with a camera on the helmet. You get a bit of disturbance to the airflow. So we jump with tiny little cameras on the rig just to get some footage, and then we can input the data onto the video to show you what the speed's doing. So you can see you get a bit of ground rush. Stop. So it's a simple and pure discipline. It's just about speed. Quite a lot's happened in the last year. Does anybody know the new world record?
601 kilometers.
That's right. That's Mach 0.49. So yeah, 500 kilometers used to be the magic number. There's now 9 people who've managed to go over 500, and Henrik Reimer from Sweden has now done 600, so that's changed the game a bit. So yeah, a lot happened at the World Championships. I'm going to break it down into 3 main areas of what the essence of speed skydiving is. And they're all, in my mind, as important as each other. So we've got the safety side, obviously, then technical and physical is the technique and also what's happening. And then psychological, you need to be prepared for it as well. So safety first. This I will repeat from last year because it's probably worth doing. A speed skydive goes pretty quickly, and there's some extra risks involved other than a normal solo skydive, so it has to be taken pretty seriously. So complacency can kill, and you would never assume that everything's going to be okay. You need to be on top of the game. So if we talk first about the equipment, your rig needs to be really on the safer side of free fly friendly. What might be all right for free flying isn't necessarily all right for speed. For example, magnetic riser covers on a Vector are probably fine up to about 200 miles an hour, but then they start to come open and your risers will be going down your arms at over that speed. You can get a mod for the riser covers, put an extra magnet in there, and then they're okay for higher speeds. Always check with your chief instructor as well, because they might have a different idea about what's safe. The usual stuff, tight closure loop, avoid jumping rigs with anything held down with Velcro. That deteriorates pretty quickly and things will start coming open and coming out. A leg strap tie is a good idea, like free flyers do. Not for when everything's going all right, but if something goes wrong, I've had it before where within a millisecond I'm spinning on my back and my leg straps are up underneath my knees. So, and I had a leg strap tie on and it snapped. So make sure it's a good one. You don't want any bridle exposed for obvious reasons. And make sure your reserve and cutaway handles are nice and secure so that on your slowdown you'll have a bit of extra wind speed and you don't want them dislodging. Deployment system, a pin pull is actually the ideal setup for speed skydiving because the pilot chute's tucked away inside the container and kept in there by the pin. But if you are going to jump with a normal BOC, a free fly pad is the best thing. Hacky sack isn't a very good idea because they oscillate and they can pull the pilot chute out. Full face helmet and 2 audible altimeters just gives you a lot more confidence that you're going to hear something, and double check on your way up that they're working. Altitude awareness is a major thing that you've got to keep in the front of your mind, and heading awareness. If you're getting out on a jump run with other skydivers and you think you're going vertical, you could be at a slight angle and you can cover a lot of distance. So altitude awareness first. If you don't know what height you are, get safe and check what altitude you're at, and then heading awareness after that. If you're happy with the altitude you're at, then make sure you're heading in the right direction. What we do on a jump run for speeders is the first speeder will get out and turn right. So if they are moving, obviously they're 90 degrees off jump run. The second one will turn left. Most speed skydivers end up tracking slightly on their back. So usually, if any of them are moving, they're all moving in the relevant direction. So yeah. One of the main reasons that there's a recommendation for 200 jumps and a bit of free fly experience is to deal with the higher speeds. If you're not used to going at higher speeds and you're getting good at speed, you're going to eat up the altitude pretty quick. So that's pretty obvious that you need to be aware of what's going on. I don't know everyone here, so I'm not sure what experience level you are. Right. So from exit to deployment for a normal FS jump, you're probably looking from 13,000 feet around a minute or just over, isn't it? So for a speed skydiver, you're looking at about 30 to 35 seconds for a fast jump. So it's a bit quicker. And the jump is about acceleration throughout the whole jump. It's not, you don't hit a top speed and then just hold it. The idea is that you want to keep accelerating throughout the jump right until the exit gate at 5,500 feet. And that's the trick, is to keep the acceleration building. And for me, there's phases of a speed skydive. You have obviously your exit, and then the setup phase just after that, where you're setting, you're getting your heading, and then you're happy to then transition into the vertical. And then the vertical is the main part of the dive, and then your slow down. You need to, each part of that process needs to be set up properly to move on to the next, obviously. And if you mess up one bit, it's difficult to get it back in control. It's really building throughout the jump, and it's sort of almost like one full process. I'll talk a little bit about aerodynamics. I'm not very technically minded with the aerodynamics, but I've got a basic knowledge. So if anybody hears any dodgy language about aerodynamics, put your hand up and correct me. So as an object moves through the air, the gas molecules will stick to the surface and create what's called a boundary layer. And the boundary layer can change the shape of the whole object in relation to the airflow around it. So, and that boundary layer can move around the object and change shape. And then so the actual physical shape of an object in relation to the air around it will be different to what it looks like in effect. The boundary layer creates a different shape around the object. It can be quite unstable depending on the shape and size of the object. So an aeroplane's wing is a smooth example, and a human body is quite a rough example. So for a skydiver, that boundary layer can change quite a lot. And then you can get what's called boundary layer separation. So at some point during the speed skydive, you'll get the boundary layer separation starts at the sort of lower end of your body, and then as you pick up speed, it will move closer to your head, like you get a shockwave coming off the front of a jet. And then as that boundary layer separation happens, you'll get instability. So it's harder to fly the airflow with your body when you've got the boundary layer separation, because you've got a lot of turbulent air around your body. And your center of pressure moves up towards your center of gravity, and then it also will eventually overtake your center of gravity. So if you imagine a shuttlecock has got a center of pressure that is behind the center of gravity, so that makes it fly stably. But if you put the weight at the back of the shuttlecock, its center of pressure would be in front, and it doesn't fly very stably. That's effectively what happens to a speed skydiver. So once you get up to a certain speed, it's very hard to actually fly it and feel stable. It's quite turbulent, and you can feel that you're not able to actually fly the airflow like you would if you were tracking or free flying or whatever. But if you've done your setup phase well and you're ready for that boundary layer separation, then everything should be right. And clothing can make a difference to that whole process. So you can see he's got a tight top on and a bit of drag on his legs, so the initial acceleration will be nice and stable, like a shuttlecock would, and then when he gets a massive acceleration, when you get the boundary layer separation, it doesn't really matter what he's wearing after that, although probably a little bit more tighter clothing at the top would help that. The airflow will still stay as a laminar airflow, as they call it, the smooth airflow, sort of around the head, but as soon as it sort of hits the shoulder and the top of the body, then you'll get the turbulent airflow starting. So there we go. So looking at the phases of the jump, here's a few examples of exits and other. No, that's not that. There you go. So you can start seeing different phases of the jump. So there's exit. That's the setup phase. That's gone quite steep, that one. That's James and I. We've been doing some two ways this year to try and see what we're doing in the dive. So that's a nice setup phase there, and then just rolling into the vertical as I've gone out of view. So you can see the speed is on pretty quick straight away, because the skydiver is not falling away behind the flight of the aeroplane yet. So now watch as Max rolls into the vertical. Even though his legs are still quite wide, he's very stable, and you can watch the acceleration pick up immediately as he goes vertical.
Yeah, that's an early one.
Just there. So then when you're in the vertical, you're looking for a sort of nice, straight, relaxed position. My wobbly head with see the closing speed on the cloud there, and then going back to the safety aspect of it, and also which impacts the psychological side of things. Being confident that you're going to have nice openings on every jump makes a massive difference. So that's my layer, which I absolutely love, and it's perfect. beautiful openings every time. NZ Aerosports. So the mental aspect of speed skydiving is majorly important. I don't know if you can see the quote at the bottom there, but
I'm just looking at the boobs.
looking at what?
The boobs, is that a girl?
Where?
No, it's just flapping.
That's my leg.
It's the other way up.
So a quote from Laird Hamilton, big wave surfer: "If you just get out of your own way, it is amazing what will come to you." Which is very relevant with speed skydiving because you can persuade yourself out of being able to go fast. So I look at it as it's like an extreme meditation. The physical side of it is that you're plummeting towards the earth at 300 miles an hour. It's quite an extreme physical thing to do with the human body, but at the same time, it's very much a mental experience. So as a bare minimum, you need to really clear your mind and just be present in the moment and not be overcomplicating it, thinking about lots of different things, and you're going to create tension, and you're also not going to be ready to deal with what's happening there and then. So you're effectively practicing in quite a physical way, practicing the art of living in the moment. So things like chasing the speed, thinking I've got to hit a certain speed to maintain my position on the leaderboard, or things like that. That's just going to create a negative effect. So often you'll see people who can get some fast jumps, and then they start to overcomplicate it. They get very conscious about their performance, and then it drops off. It's very typical of a speed skydiver's progress. And then they start to experience the mental side of it a lot more. So it's a bit cliched, but you need to get in the zone. That's sort of in sports psychology. It's quite a common way of looking at it, and it's also called the flow state. You're completely immersed in the activity that you're in, and not distracted and worrying. It's a combination of being concentrated and focused at the same time as being very relaxed. And then if you can manage to do that, then you'll achieve what's called peak performance. I use visualization a lot to deal with the psychological aspect of it. So in the plane on the way up, just visualize a nice clean jump, and then just try and be really relaxed. It's very important, really, within speed to be relaxed. It's one of the main things. You see a lot of speeders quite just chilled out and relaxed during a competition. I use music a lot to keep me in the mood. So, now that you've got all of that in your head, you need to make it second nature, and then empty your mind again. Okay, so that's it pretty much. You now that you know what to do, come to a speed roadshow. And that's what our year is looking like so far. We've got 3 speed road shows, Cark, Langer and Hibblstow. We've got the International Speed Skydiving World Series, 4 events, and do 2 of those events to get a result for the World Series. I'm running one at Dunkerswell in July. And then World Cup, and not forgetting the Speed Nationals in August. Go to speed-skydiving.com for the International Speed Skydiving Association. All of the calendar and information and stuff's on there. And there's a UK Speed Skydiving Facebook group. Pretty much anything that happens in speed goes on the Facebook group, so get on there.